Like you find people join calls and then they turn off their, not at work, but like in other contexts, they turn off their cameras. And my camera is always on. There's a reason behind that because it's a way to quickly build trust with people. Because all the time that you're on a call, your camera is on. It's like you're not up to something odd.
In my first performance review at Yellow Card, my boss was asking me if, like, I wanted to be, whether I wanted to be here. I was like, yeah, I wanted to. And it was like, I'm always quiet. I'm always, the normal Ghanaian stuff, I'm always quiet. I always give my updates and then turn off my camera. So I turn on my camera, give updates, turn it off. And I don't talk about what I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel. So I was like, okay, cool. If you want Pro Max.
You're going on it.
So, I mean.
You started giving them Pro
Yeah,
Max.
you need to sell yourself a lot.
You go into the conversations expecting rejection. It's not that you've accepted that you've been rejected. And that thing is like a big hack. Like you start having a conversation, you tell yourself that anything can go wrong. And that anything going wrong is not because I'm not good at my work. Of course, I'm not perfect. But then it could be that there's someone in the pipeline who's more experienced than me.
Yeah, every update matters. It doesn't matter how small. Even if it's small. I've seen updates from some people. They might watch this. They just would today I had a meeting with X, Y, and Z. Then we discussed this, and this. But I was on that meeting, and the meeting was like 5 minutes long. But then if you are reading you think this was a big, right?
Dead.
I love you viewers and listeners. You're welcome to the Building Bytes podcast, where we tell relevant stories about Ghana's tech ecosystem to fuel innovation and drive the growth in our digital economy. This podcast is proudly brought to you with production support from Haptel and shot in the studio of Haptel Academy. And now we have an exciting news for you all. So from now, Building Bytes broadcast will be aired on MX24 on Thursdays at 8 p.m. and on Sundays at 7 p.m. So if you missed it on Thursday at 8 p.m., don't miss the repeat on Sunday at 7 p.m. So coming to today's podcast, or today's episode, we are moving away from talking about writing codes, or it's more than just writing codes and pushing pixels. We are going to be talking about navigating careers in the global world or in the global tech space. And we are flipping from local meetings, team meetings, to the international Slack threads. And we are asking, what does it truly mean to work as a Ghanaian talent in the global tech team? And to help us unpack this exciting topic and insightful discussion is two amazing guests. My first guest goes by the name Anaman. Yes, he is the senior product manager at Axmed, a Swiss-based health tech startup.
No loud down.
He previously held the same role at M-Pharma. Joel is passionate about solving big problems in education, employability, and healthcare across Africa. My second guest goes by the name Derrick Tsorme. He's also a product designer at Yellow Card, a leading Pan-African crypto exchange. Derrick is a product designer with over 5+ years of experience building easy-to-use digital solutions across fintech, health tech, Web3, and insurance. He has worked on projects used by over 10 million people and is passionate about using design to remove across barriers in emerging markets. So,
Oh God, agree.
so let's welcome our guests, Joel and Derrick. So before we go into this discussion, I promise that it's going to be exciting. You're going to learn a lot, especially if you look to transitioning or getting a job in the global market. You should definitely not miss any part of the discussion. But before we go into the discussion, we are going to take what's happening in tech from my co-host, Tiao.
Great. So this week in What Happened in Tech, we're looking at two major stories, and we introduced a new segment called This Week in AI. So we just list a couple of big stories in AI that we feel we should know them. So to start off, this was like a big news for our data economy chef, Abi has been named as one of the 100 most influential creators in the world, alongside some big names like
Big
Mr.
names,
Beast,
big names.
Marcus Brownlee, and the rest. I don't know what you guys think about this.
Then right now, the chef Abby's not gonna mind me
She,
again.
she's gone.
I've been mentioned. I need a best friend who can cook so that I can be doing the tasting. You can go and search Anaman, Chef Abby's. You would see me mention right now on the time 100 or whatever. She's not going to mind me. Congratulations, though. Like it's wow.
She's gone, and
Yeah.
it's very well
It's really
deserving.
wild.
It's very well deserving.
The guys on the
Congratulations
list.
to her.
Yeah. It is.
I like that she's representing all of us in that.
Yes.
On
I
that list.
understand.
Yes.
That's a great.
Kinky to the world. Kinky to the world.
And the next one, which is a very, I won't say controversial, but a very important step. So Bank of Ghana is requesting all people and services who offer virtual assets service providers to mandatorily register with them. And the reasons why they are doing that is basically the registration is compulsory. That is if you want to operate in the market, in our market. And then the fact that you're registering with them doesn't constitute the fact that it's a license. It's not a license. And after that, they can decide to give you a license or not, but it's compulsory for you to register if you are playing in that space. And then they listed a number of things. So if you provide virtual asset exchange, if you do wallet provision and custody services, if you do transfer and settlement of services as well, and you do any other thing related to virtual assets, you are required to register. And I know you work in that space, so I'll come to you first. What are your thoughts? Is this the right time?
It's the right time, but it could have come much earlier. Yeah. There are lots of countries that have done this much earlier than us, and they are reaping the benefits. And I'm happy finally we've seen reason to adopt this, but honestly, we could have done this much earlier. But once I'm happy because it will allow more players to come into the space, and once there are a lot more players in the space, it becomes a much better field for the customers to enjoy. So yeah, I'm happy, but we could have done this much earlier.
Cool.
Interesting. I mean, I'm anti-fintech, but I like money. So I'll say, I came from a very regulated background. I'm a pharmacist, right? And I was working in the pharma space, very regulated. And I'm just trying to think through, okay, what's the motivation behind it? Is it that we want to have visibility on, everyone on the market, so that eventually we can gradually, transition those who need to transition into licensing and whatnot. So I'm really eager to see what the outcomes will look like from just a curiosity, aspect. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to This Week in AI. There are 3 big stories that we're highlighting this week. The first one is Perplexity has launched a new browser called Comet. It's an agentic browser, I think the second of its kind in the AI startup scene. And right after they put that announcement out, OpenAI has also announced that in the coming weeks, they're also coming up with their own browser as well. Agentic browsers and things like that. And the last one is YouTube is putting out a new guidelines to help curb the generation of content generated with AI and repetitive content. If you're on YouTube, you know that this is it's coming, right? You watch one video here, you watch the same thing there, but it's just the thumbnail has changed or the voice has changed, but it's the same content. So they are trying to curve that and then work on that as well. So this is big stories from This Week in AI. And that wraps up what happened in tech. Over to you, Yara.
Thank you so much, Yao. So to my amazing guests, Joel and Derrick, I believe if there's one thing anyone listening or watching wants to know, is how you people landed your role globally. How did you land this role? How did it happen? Because I want to know. I'm sure anyone listening also wants to know. How did you get it? Tell us. How did you get your role? So we can start with Joel.
Hey, are you sure?
Yes.
It's a long story.
Okay, we are listening.
It's an entire childbirth, because it took me 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually 9 months to land my role at M-Pharma, and then 9 months to land this role as well. So yeah, I'm a sniper. Start from afar.
Okay.
But I would say it was a very unconventional process. Just to cut it short, and I'm sure as we move along in the process, maybe I'll be revealing some details. But it started somewhere November 2024. Was it 20? No, November 2023. Yeah. Time runs so fast. And I came across the role. The description was just perfect. It was looking for, the current one, right? It was looking for a product manager working, a senior product manager working in logistics and supply chain in low to middle income countries. And the description was just me. So I was like, this is me.
Going for it.
And I had to now follow the company obsessively. But it wasn't just that. I was really obsessed about, getting in. So I listened to the CEO's podcast.
Wow.
Gathered a lot of information, and I started cold messaging people. I started cold messaging from November. I had 0 response in November. I cold messaged 2 people, actually. And then in the following year, first quarter, I cold messaged 2 people as well. So there's this thing where you have to always look at who is the decision maker and then who is in proximity to the decision maker. If you think of it as a salesperson, I used to be a salesperson, by the way.
I was about mentioning
So it's either you are getting the person making the decision,
or
you are getting the person
to,
close to them. So I was able to get the executive assistant to one of the executives, and then it got to them. But I think at that point, probably there was a location preference or something. So that did not work out. But eventually, I think I cold messaged the CTO in May.
Oh.
Yes. And that was what snowballed into a couple of conversations. But it was pretty much transparent. He was like, hey, there's someone in the process, so we don't know how this is going to work out. And eventually, like, that conversation evolved into, like, an offer somewhere down the line. That was, like, 2 months down the line. There are a bit of details in there. So as we move along, I'll be dropping that in. But that entire period took about 9 months, 5 cold messages, 2 responses, 1 offer.
Wow. Because when you're speaking, one question that came to mind is, he mentioned that there's someone in the process. Why didn't you give up? Why didn't you? Okay, let me just focus.
Yes. So the interesting thing, right? The interesting thing for me was, even like looking at the trajectory of the company, early stage company started going super live from 2023 as well. I told myself that, well, if I don't get in now, the team is going to expand. And I know what they're doing. It's a very hard problem. It's a very tough problem, being able to aggregate pharmaceutical demand across multiple geographies. Again, about the regulated space. So we are doing very innovative and groundbreaking stuff. But then, all in all, it comes down to, okay, when I look at the longevity of the company, how they are going to raise money, in a couple of years or whatever, I can place my bet on them that this is not the end game. So even if I don't get in, I need to build and maintain that relationship.
Yes.
And I think it just pretty much worked out.
Nice.
Yeah.
You really dropped a lot of gems. So Derrick, coming to you. How did you land the role?
How do I follow Joel? Okay, so my role at Yellow Card it's not as adventurous as Joel. So in 2022, I think in May 2022, I spoke at Figma Config. So that was my first time speaking. So I spoke at Figma Config to about 100,000 people. I was really it was really nice.
Okay.
So my boss was in the audience and she was listening in. So I spoke on designing for the African market, and then in the presentation I outlined a lot of things that the companies or UX teams need to do to focus on the emerging market or African markets. And then that was exactly the type of person she was looking for. Okay. So as soon as I finished the session, she sent me a DM in LinkedIn.
Hey, okay.
So she was like, I'm building a team. Like, I like your session. I'm building a team. This is exactly what you want to do. Are you interested? I was like, cool. 2 weeks later, I was signing a contract.
This was nice.
Hey, sweet. Some of us were chasing.
2 different stories, I know, right?
Trust. Some of us were chasing for 9 months. A whole childbirth life cycle. Someone's closing it in 2 weeks.
I know, right? But then I believe even before speaking at that conference, you've had like prior preparations that even kept you in that position to be able to land such a fast, like...
I mean, yeah. So Joel, you say something that if the opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that I wasn't prepared. I was gearing myself up. I was prepping myself, make portfolio, and I'm known on Twitter for updating my portfolio a lot. That's because I always want to
You're
be
always ready
yes,
when
I
the
always
opportunity
want to
comes.
be updated, right? So preparation, talking to mentors and all that, so that at the time that opportunity came, it wasn't out that I was going.
Surprising,
Yeah, it wasn't any big.
Leaving a lot of quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to.
I think both of you transition from like local companies and to global
Yeah.
companies.
If you say local, yeah.
Oh, no, like, it's a local
It's from
context.
Ghana to.
Oh, actually,
world.
the initial role was actually
This is also
African
global,
because it was
But
like
was
no, it wasn't
M
global.
Pharma?
It was
Pan-African.
I would say Pan-African, like so, like Africa wide because we're in 10 markets.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in 10 markets. But yeah, of course, like when you compare the two,
Yeah,
then it's
yeah.
like there's a different focus because now we do everything around Africa, Southeast Asia, Caribbean. So it's like a big
Crossing
shift.
continents. How's that transition like?
It's a
In
sweet
terms of
transition.
Team setup.
Team
culture,
setup, yes,
time zones.
time zones and all of that. So I think my team, we are currently distributed across about 4 time zones, but then the gap is GMT to GMT plus 5.5. Yes. So that's how wide it is. So I have a colleague in India who will typically start his day very early. So what I'll typically do is, I'm big on asynchronous communication in this case. So just thinking about it and making sure that I'm not blocking him. If there's anything I need to proactively work on, I make sure those things are ready. So I might be going off, he might be sleeping by then, but then I'll drop the message, provide all the necessary information. Sometimes I'll schedule the message. Other times, so I can just leave the message in and tell you, you don't need to respond now. Then, he wakes up and then he also starts working on it. By that time, I'll be asleep. So that bit about being able to work across multiple time zones is key. And I think the concept of over communication really works because not only does it build like some form of trust with people, but also you're also able to hold yourself accountable. You stay disciplined, and then you get work done. So there's a lot of self-discipline in the game. We don't just work only in the tech team as well because we have ops and all of that, and they are distributed across different time zones as well. So the same thing kind of applies because you are communicating not just in a Slack channel, but also you are in teams, making sure they are relaying some very critical information to other business stakeholders so that you can bring all of them together. Then, of course, being able to schedule meetings at a point where it's, it aligns with everyone's schedule. So ensuring that it's not too late for the colleague.
How do you find that?
I mean, like, you always have to think it through. And sometimes it becomes very tight. It becomes very tough. So you'd have to then negotiate it with your team member that, hey, are you able to like stay on for this? And I think Axmed also has the flexible work culture. Okay. So there are times where, as a PM, sometimes it can get very chaotic during the day. You wake up, you have your plans, but then you have people coming in, asking questions, you have to attend to things. So you don't get time for ideation. And I'm very, very creative at night. So there are some days that I'll tell my boss that, hey, I'd want to work towards the evening, just so I'll have the peace of mind to ideate. Otherwise, the product will cast. So those are like some of the principles that that has helped me thrive in this role. I think 10 months in now.
Oh, nice. Derrick.
Hey.
Yeah, what about you? In terms of working with like the time difference, the culture, how's it been?
I mean, from the transition into the yellow card role.
Yes.
I mean, it was a big shift. I mean, in Ghana, everyone is on the same time zone.
Yes.
My team is spread across 3 countries, so South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. That's the design team.
Oh, okay.
And then the broader engineering team has Kenya, a lot of the other African countries. So maximum, I think, 3 hours difference. So yes, it's async communication. A lot of comments inside Figma, a lot of scheduled messages. Sometimes you are up till maybe 3, then you schedule the message to go at 9:05 a.m. so that they don't know that you sent it at 3 in the morning. So yeah, a lot of async, a lot of over communication, like Joel mentioned, because you don't want people to say that, oh, I'm blocked. The last thing I want to be is a blocker for someone. So I try to put in as much context. I try to explain a lot on the ticket. That's something I've come to do a lot in the last maybe 3 years talk a lot on. So you go to my ticket, there are a lot of essays on my ticket because I don't want anyone coming to ask follow-up questions.
And they fill up.
So yeah, I mean, and also understanding your team members, because a country like Nigeria has a lot of public holidays, and it can get frustrating sometimes because if a key member of your project is in, you could get you could get like maybe 3 holidays in a month, and then you need to ship. You need to understand, because it's not that person's fault.
He'll take his holiday too.
Exactly.
It's what it is.
There's a lot of understanding too.
Oh, nice! Wow.
And there's one other thing I think I copied that from my HR's footnote. So it's a statement that implies that, I mean, I'm sending this message this email at the time that works for me. You are not necessarily supposed to respond to it.
Yeah.
I'm sending it at the time that works for me. So whenever you are able to respond, then you respond. I think that's also a nice way to not push people to be responding to your 9 p.m. email. So it's either you're scheduling that or you are just sending that message through, and then they can respond at any time. And I think that's how globally distributed workforces.
But that relies on a lot of trust, though. Because if you send that to somebody who doesn't really care, and then you tell the person to reply at a time that works for you,
sorry.
You see, and I think at Axmed there's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trust. So I mean, I had the same thing at Mfama, and I think as a talent, there are some should I say behaviors that you exhibit that builds trust with people.
Makes sense.
When you're able to show up on time, you're disciplined, you're delivering, you're over communicating.
Your camera is on.
Your camera is on. I tweeted that like quite recently. Like you find people join calls and then they turn off their, not at work, but like in other contexts, they turn off their cameras. My camera is always on. There's a reason behind that, because it's a way to quickly build trust with people. Because all the time that you're on a call, your camera is on. It's like you're not up to something odd, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the the minor things that you tend to put up just so you could build trust with people.
Nice. I believe we are taking notes. Very important. You spoke about, I think, yes, Derrick, you spoke about your always updating your resume to make sure that you're ready for all opportunities. And I believe that, we are talking to the Ghanaian talents. People are looking to land global roles. So if we talk about portfolio and application, what should Ghanaian talents, dev, designers, marketers do for the applications or portfolio to stand out and resonate with the global market, or to land global roles? Who would want to go first? Derrick. Derrick, because you saw
He's the one that updates the portfolio.
So I'll leave it for the career one. Okay, so when you start updating your portfolio, your case study at the time that you need the job, then it's too late. Right, it's too late, because at that time you are updating it out of desperation and not out of
preparation.
Not out of preparation. Because if you are saying, okay, I need to prepare for a job that I'll apply for in the next 1 year, then I have from now to that time to prepare. Then I'm not in a hurry. I can take my time, prepare my case study, spend like maybe a month on a case study, spend like a month or 2 months going through all the work I've done for my current company, and then seeing what I can use to sell myself. Looking at the market, look at the salary range, see what I can price my skills at, seeing who. So you go on LinkedIn and see all the people that are currently being hired. When somebody posts that who have been hired in X and Y company, go to the person's profile. Like, there's something there that got them hired. It doesn't matter how better you are at the job than the person. Go to the profile, see what is on the profile, because the person has just been hired by someone. Right. So now you do that during the whatever period, 6 months.
Waiting season.
Yeah, exactly. During the waiting season. So we find a lot of people wait till they are fed up with their job.
The current job
before,
you need another 1 year.
You need another 1 year, because you can't win with desperation. Because that's how you find people quickly writing subpar case studies. Their portfolios are not really solid. Their CVs are not airtight. It's because they rushed. There's not a lot of time for them to do that. That's because they started hating their job
before they started updating their resume.
But then if you make it a habit that when I'm there and I think of an idea, oh cool, I can add this to my case study. I quickly open the code, write it, I have a lot of updates in my case study that I've not pushed live. It is there on
just
a
waiting.
branch. Yeah, it's not on a branch. It's not on a branch. So I'm just, once I'm happy with whatever, then I push it live. But I find people wait till they want a job, and then at that time it's too late. You need to wait for another 6-7 months or 1 year. Right? That helps a lot. Updating your portfolio too, updating your resume too. The important thing is being able to take stock of what you are working on. That makes it easier. It's not now that you're going to go through your 5 months ago ticket.
You're not searching.
Digging through for resume bullets.
So what I was doing, or what I'm doing at Yellow Card, right? Anytime my boss and I have our performance review, we have a minute, so we normally have a shared notes for our performance review. So I copy everything we discuss, and I have a Gemini. I created a Gemini chat for that. So anytime I finish performance review with my boss, I copy that, I paste it there. I copy that, I paste it there with the date, time. I timestamp it and everything, so that I analyze. So at the end of every quarter, when I want to write a performance review for myself, because we need to do a performance assessment, I just go there, go through all the performance reviews or the calls I've had with my boss, and then I can get something that I can use to assess myself. I also use that to measure my growth. So there are times where there was a time I had a review that really hits me. I even told Anaman, I shut down for almost a week. Right. So I went, did the analysis with the AI and all that, and it gave me this next step. Not that you follow blindly what AI is saying, of course, right? But it just helps you with the analysis. So all the performance reviews I've had since I've joined, I've been at Yellow Card over 3 years. I have all of that, and it helps you see places where, and people need to do that, but people don't.
It also makes you competitive.
And you're always prepared.
Talking about competitiveness, funny enough, I spoke to Jason earlier this year, and he mentioned your name. One of the
Global
top
talent.
top talents
Top
in this country.
1%. Top 1%.
I've spoken to people at Fido too who mentioned, like, when the folks from Israel come here, they love our talents that are all right. So I want us to talk a little bit about competitiveness, using both of you as case studies. Like, what do you think? What do you think is making you guys succeed at the level that you are? Rising through the ranks, and not just rising and you know what I mean. Still staying very, very competitive at that global level, right? What's that? And if you can use stories,
the Jews. So my bio was quite short. There's a 4D part of me.
Okay.
So I work at Axmed as a senior product manager, but also I have Career Wheel, which is my career consultancy, which I founded. It went official in 2020, so it's been running. There's a whole team behind it. We've helped over 400 talents across different, not just job search. Because when people say careers, everybody limits it to job search, but it's more than that, and I'll come back to that particular point. But with regards to remote, getting people into remote global jobs, I think so far it's $2 million in annual recurring income, the people that we've coached into remote jobs, yes. Software engineers, product marketers, ops people, and all of that.
I want to join.
You're welcome to join. And then also I'm building Mandy, which is supposed to automate all of this, an AI tool that automates like career management. So I've done that, and I've also been a recruiter before. So I've been on the other side of the table, where you get to see behind the scenes why people are getting rejected. Like, trust me, there are 10 or 9 different reasons why you get rejected. Only one is incompetent or under qualification. The other ones can be as flimsy as geolocation issues, but then the email is going to be the same. Some recruiters will not personalize it. It's going to be the same. Maybe we review the candidates and you couldn't make it to the next stage, right? So there's that part. And I've been a job seeker, transitioned careers 4 times. So I like to give the perspective around this, the career coaching, the recruiting, and all of that. And I would say competitiveness starts from personal excellence, right? When you get to a point where you see that your skill set is all you have as a professional in terms of the value that you can offer in exchange of course, like for your compensation and all of that. you take that super serious. And that means even if you are getting like a suboptimal compensation today, you are not compromising on that fact, on your skill, and saying that because I'm getting a suboptimal compensation, I'm not going to, get my hands dirty. Because the interesting thing about careers as a concept is that you always have to live the future you want to live now in terms of paying for it. So just like how you are investing, right? You invest money. I hate fintechs, but you invest money, right, with the hopes that you're going to get returns from it. It's nothing different when it comes to career. So if you want to get a promotion, it's like you have to do the next level thing in your current role. If you want to go into a global remote opportunity, you have to start asking yourself, like, do I understand what's happening at the global remote stage? And it takes something as simple as reading job descriptions to sometimes even see the gaps. So you take a job description, you read it, and then you look at what you're doing and go like, it's the same job title, but then everything is different. And so that sort of brings you into the concept of self-awareness, and that self-awareness then leads into you chasing personal excellence. So I quite remember back at M-Pharma, when a couple of layoffs and all of that happened, they were loading me with a lot of products and I was still taking it in, right? Because for me, it was a learning curve for me. I wanted to learn pretty much quickly, right? And when the time was up, I mean, it was a mutual separation. I mean, we were all excited because I had paid my dues. I made sure like I was going the extra mile. But then there are a lot of talent you engage in, and it's more like very, very transactional. In that, okay, because I'm not being paid for this, that is beyond my job description. I'm not saying that you should be working beyond your job description. Choose the extra work you want to work on. So, of course, if someone brings something that's way out of your scope, find a way to evade that. So instead of waiting for them to do, bring things that are way out of your scope to you, you rather want to find the opportunities around things that you want to work on and rather propose that. And, of course, those things have to make sense in the employer. They have to bring much return on investment and all of that. So finding that sweet spot between where you're headed and what the organization needs, and seizing the opportunity for, putting yourself in a very uncomfortable situations is one of the things that will get you there. Another thing that based on all the people that I've coached, I realized that it's not the most intelligent or the sharpest that make it to the end. It's actually the most persistent. Yes. And developing like that militant sales mindset is key. You go into the conversations expecting rejections. Not that you've accepted that you've been rejected. And that thing is like a big hack. Like you start having a conversation, you tell yourself that anything can go wrong. And that anything going wrong is not because I'm not good at my work. Of course, I'm not perfect. But then it could be that there's someone in the pipeline who's more experienced than me, who communicates better than me, who beats me by all standards. And that is okay. Because every business is selfish. Like, they want the best talent to grow the team. Exactly. So that is also key. The third one, referrals. And I'm not talking about empty referrals. There are two types of referrals, by the way. There's the high-level referral. So I'm taking you into the recruitment game, right? There are two types of referrals. So there's a referral where someone is in the company, you apply, and then they tell the recruiter that, oh, okay, you know what, watch out for this guy. I think his profile looks kind of good, so you should probably give him, grant him an interview. That's the first type of referral. I don't necessarily have to work with you directly to give you that referral. And on top of that too, you, the one trying to get a referral, should make it easy for me. So the easiest thing you can do is to show me your resume or show me your work that you've done. So if I'm pitching to you that, hey, I want you to refer me for the role, I'm not going to just say that I've applied for the role and do you mind referring? No, I'm going straight with a pitch. I have 7+ years of experience building and advising on products. I've done this, I've done that. So if you don't mind, just mention my name to the recruiter. Sometimes people run away from referrals. So what that does too is that typically when you start applying for jobs, right, when a job is opened, depending on the seniority of the job, you can have a backlog of talent. So let's say I open a job and within the first 2 days, I've gotten like 500 applicants. By merit, I have to start screening the 500 applicants. And typically, all these 500 applicants are strangers to the recruiter. Good. So by merit, I start doing the screening. So if they say the next 2 days, you have another 500 coming in, automatically you're in the backlog. And the highest chance of rejection is sitting there. Yes. It's not because you are not good. It's because you didn't apply early. Because the role is very competitive, right? So that first level of referral is telling the recruiter that this person reached out to me. I think their profile looks good. And then the recruiter takes a look. They take a look and they are tempted enough, then they may pull you into the first batch. So you see how the dynamics work. And you wouldn't know this if you've not done recruitment before. They try to do keyword search and all of that. But the thing is, if there are tons of candidates, that first level of referral works. Then there's a second level of referrals, which is, I've worked with this guy before. I've experienced your skill set. I can put my neck down and say, this guy is good. He can deliver. And quite recently, I did that referral for a friend.
The friend
Super. Actually, at Pharma, I work with one guy, solid guy, flawless. Ebo is his name. Very, very solid. He left Pharma before I left. And he's the engineer who you would ask him about this system and he would take time, break things down. He's not the only person, by the way. There were a couple of people who did that. Take his time, break down concepts to you. And there were other people who would shun work. Right? And there's no way I would actually advocate for someone like that. Exactly. I made that tweet. There's no way I would do that because my integrity is on the line. It is not just about getting the job. When you get on the job, the first 3 months, they are watching. The person that Joel decided to refer, is it true? And my integrity is on the line. Then in the next 1 year, is the person staying in the company? So I need to be very, very super sure
on who you refer.
Exactly. And the best part is that when you refer people that you've worked with into the organization, what it does is that if they also perform, it also like strengthens the trust that the organization has with you.
Yes.
And
you trust your referrals.
Exactly. It gives you that visibility across the organization as well. So referrals are key. And you are typically asking yourself, then how do I get my foot in the door? The only way you can get someone to say they've worked with you without they being in the same office with you is working on projects. So people are in the tech space, they don't do community stuff, right? They're always like in their corner trying to do their thing and all of that stuff. I would encourage people to work, like get close to people in the community, because when they work with you, even if it's like for just a short period, like 3 months, you are doing like 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week, that person can advocate and say that I've worked with this person on a project and then they delivered, and they wouldn't flinch on that because of course they've experienced you basically. So those core things, the referral bits, I know I've spoken a lot, like sometimes I get jumbled up, but the referral bits being like the personal excellence bits, very, very, very key, and not compromising on your skills. So like combining these 3 things and having the wanting to go the long mile. So making sure that you are consistently going, the persistence. I think these 3 things, beyond your skill set, so you can be excellent. If you don't have these things, it becomes relatively harder to get into a global remote job.
A whole career workshop.
Yeah, whole masterclass.
Masterclass. I'm learning, and thank you for sharing these. And to Derrick, I want to find out, Joel has mentioned a couple of things to put yourself out there, to make sure that you are ready for the global team. But when it comes to even soft skills, what soft skill would you say matters in the global team? You've been with Yellow Card for 3 years.
Selling yourself a lot.
No.
Nobody's going to sell you, right? Your boss can do their best to advocate for you, but then your best advocate is yourself, right? Even within the team. So you've completed a piece of work that is very significant, and that is helping the team a lot. You shouldn't wait for somebody to come and say, "Oh, Derrick was the one that did this." So everybody clap for Derrick. Like you need to own it. You need to sell it. You need to sell yourself. If you are giving an update somewhere, you can chip it in. And this was very successful. And
no one will do it for you.
No one will do it for you, because everybody is trying to. Your boss is also trying to advocate for themselves. Your boss also wants to climb the ladder.
Yeah.
So you think
they think it's just them.
What if people have the mindset that if I sell myself, am I not being proud? Like that
proud.
kind of mindset.
Be the
That kind of
peacock.
mindset. I mean, you know, that in our society, in our part of the world, like with Ghanaians, the way we've been raised and
Yeah.
the kind
Very, very
of
humble.
the mindset
Yeah.
we've had, we are always like reserved. Don't.
Yeah.
That's the mindset
You
we
don't
have.
need to. You don't need to. In my first.
How do we overcome that?
Yeah. In my first performance review at Yellow Card, my boss was asking me if, like, I wanted to be, whether I wanted to be here. I was like, yeah, I wanted to. And it was like, I'm always quiet. I'm always, the normal Ghanaian stuff, I'm always quiet. I always give my updates and then turn
That's
off
it.
my camera. So I turn on my camera, give updates, turn it off, and I don't talk about what I'm doing. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't feel. So I was like, okay, cool. If you want Pro Max,
You're going on it.
so, I mean,
You started giving them Pro Max.
yeah, you need to sell yourself a lot. Giving updates, like, that's why I say I write a lot on my ticket. So if I complete something, if I had a meeting with a PM or had a meeting with a significant stakeholder in the project, I come and document it on the ticket.
Every update matters.
Yeah, every update matters. It doesn't matter how small, even if it's small. Even if it's small, I've seen updates from some people. They might watch this. They just wrote today. I had a meeting with X, Y, and Z, and we discussed this, and this. But I was on that meeting, and the meeting was like 5 minutes long. But then if you are reading
You feel
you
like,
think
yeah.
this was a big right. So,
Dead.
yeah, and they are not lying to you. Like it's not a lie.
Yeah.
It's more of how they are selling the story.
Yeah.
Right. So you shouldn't think you are being too proud. You be selfish about your career. If somebody thinks you are being too proud, yeah, it doesn't matter. You need to be selfish about your career because how normally promotion or salary increment discussions go, somebody brings you up or your boss brings you up, and if your boss is the only one that knows the work you are doing, who else is going to
Who vouch for you?
Yeah, nobody's going to vouch for you.
Exactly.
Right. So sell yourself. Make sure you do quality work. Like nothing beats
Salary,
quality work.
Nothing beats quality.
Skill.
You can be the best salesperson, but if your work is terrible, everybody will now see that, okay, you are bragging. But if you are selling yourself hard and you are doing excellent work, nobody is going to tell you that you are being proud because you're actually backing your work with your
Add an
work with
action.
a lot of work. Right. So do quality work, like sell yourself, build relationship with the team.
Very
Right.
important.
It's very important. Build relationship with the team. You don't want if let's say you are being a blocker to somebody, you don't want the person to go and say that in public. The person could just DM you, Charlie,
I don't like.
I need this
Listen.
by yesterday. Is it possible? You negotiate and then, but if you don't have a relationship with the person cannot DM you. The person comes to put it in the Slack channel. Hey, Derrick, it's been 2 years.
Hey.
Right, it's a relationship because personal circumstances, maybe we have normal power outages or you maybe are going through emotional distress and then that has caused you to delay a project. If you have a relationship with your engineer, you could ask him, Charlie, this might delay. Is this something that is blocking you or this? And then you can structure a way. Communication helps.
Yeah.
But people have I came here to work. And then if it's not about work,
I'm not involved.
but if I found that whenever I join a meeting, I usually join meetings maybe 10 minutes early. The reason being that normally the execs join early. Jason, for instance, Jason will join a meeting like 10 minutes before. And those are the places where some good conversations happen. Not necessarily work conversations, small talk.
Yeah.
It could be, oh, how's your project going? Oh, I'm working on this. And that person could unblock you on a problem you are facing. So even the meeting might be about A, and then the small talk might be, what are you working on? I'm working on this, and then I'm blocked on this. And the person will tell you, it has happened to me. My boss tell you, okay, talk to this person. And then usually you go and talk to the person and your issue is unblocked. And that was not even a reason for the meeting.
Because you joined earlier.
Good. But then people are like, okay, they are in the Google Meet lobby. Their hand is on the mouse like this.
Where's someone join?
When some- right.
Waiting for the time to strike.
They are just waiting until it's 10 and they join.
They
And
join.
as soon as the meeting crosses 5
They didn't
minutes,
say bye-bye,
they won't even
they
say,
say,
guys, I'm leaving.
I'm
You just
leaving.
leave.
No.
Those are some places where key communications
little,
happen, key
little.
conversations happen. And you might despise them because it's just 10 minutes long. But then,
It works.
knowing the favorite song of somebody or knowing what the health of their dog, knowing the health, it can start a conversation. Oh, last meeting, your dog was in a vet. How's the dog doing? Oh, this. Oh, cool. Just that might put you in the good books of someone. I'm not saying you should suck up to them, but then make sure you are seen, like be visible. That helps a lot.
Wow. Yeah, you want to
I
come
want
in?
us to talk a little bit about the economic benefits that going global brings to the ecosystem. Right? For you, you've helped a lot of people. Get global.
Yeah.
Is it real or is it?
Is there impact there?
Oh, it's real. I think I took a break from Big Pharma doing my sales stuff to transition into tech. So I got a Shivling scholarship to study in the middle of the pandemic. And that was the first time. I'd been doing coaching for folks, not just people in, not people in tech, actually, people in pharma. And then at that point, I decided to move to tech. And I mean, at Career Wheel, the models that we build are very scalable. They are from first principles and they are rooted in facts, right? So I was able to just transfer that and help one guy who was 23 years by then. And I quite remember they gave him an offer that was like 10 times what he was earning. Yes. So they gave him an offer that was 10x, straight 10x.
Wow.
And I was like, let's negotiate. I was like, what do you mean?
What are you saying?
What are you saying? What are you saying? No, he was freaking. I was like, this is the thing, right? When you look at the job description, they mentioned a couple of specifications, and typically your negotiation starts from the very first interview. That's where you start building trust. Negotiation is based on trust, right, and perception. So right from the first interview, he started putting up the right perception. And so when he got to that stage where they offered him that money, it was, I think, $87,000. I was like, no. He has to get the 6 figures. Because in as much as I was coaching him, I also wanted to get the thrill.
That's you.
Yeah. And I knew that the guy was super smart, like all standards, all the things I spoke to you about. He's there. So we went to the negotiation, and then he got an extra 21K. Yeah, extra $21K. And it was mainly because of something that was in the job description that we literally had to pick that and then use that to run the negotiation. Very, very simple. And for me, at that point, I was like, when I compare what I was getting in Pharma had some benefits, but when I compared, I was like, I'm not saying I'm earning 6 figures, so please, so I beg you, disclaimer. I'm talking about my clients. So it is very rewarding. And since then, like, I then decided to hyper focus on remote roles. So non-profits. So when people hear remote role, they think it's just tech. No. Non-profits do a lot of remote work. And particularly for the operational people, so the finance people, the admin people, the program management people, it works very well. Then there's the tech people. Even with the tech, there's like operational roles. Yeah. And from what I've seen on a global remote level, probably something from 50K towards like, I've seen like 140K, 150K-ish, right, USD. So that's a huge ballpark, but it's also dependent on the stage of the company, how much the company has raised, how they've benchmarked their compensation, whether they are looking at local markets or their compensation philosophy signals that irrespective of your location, we don't care, we are paying you whatever you're worth because you are doing the same job as someone else who's in, say, New York or whatever. So all of those things come to play to feed into the the global compensation and all of that. But it's a very great space to be in because then you realize that, yes, you're doing very good work. You're working with amazing people who are very smart. Like sometimes you wake up and then you're working with people and you're like, see, you're working with very smart people. And that gets you to up your game. Like, you can't slack.
You can't slack. You can't relax.
It gets you to up your game. So there's a reward in the compensation, yes, but there's also the reward in the people that you work alongside with. And especially if it's tied to a very great mission and you really believe in the mission, then it becomes like just that perfect, career path for you. And shameless plug, we have a career boot camp. Wheeler 100. So all these things I'm saying, we actually ran a bootcamp for 3 months. It's job search skills.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes, we are not doing technical, build your skills. No. Job search skills. And in 24 hours, spread over the 12 weeks, we take you through all these things. There's an async part and then there's a synchronous part. Yes, so not like physically.
We'll put a link in the
we'll put a link in the description. Yes. So we run that and we'll give special discount. Don't worry. Building Bytes.
Yeah.
Building Bytes. The link. So yeah, that's like really it. But it goes way beyond just the compensation. And there's also the other bits about, I know when I was recruiting, I don't know if they still do it, but Wave could even give you allowance to get a generator, to buy a generator and own the generator. And they had a donation match. So if you donate, say, $5,000, they'll match up that $5,000 like for a non-profit. So if you're someone who likes to give, anything that you give, they match it up.
Wow.
Which is really amazing,
Yes.
right? And the long leave days and all of that. So a lot of companies do have all of that. There's also unlimited pay time off. My company does unlimited PTO. It's one of the things that I really long for. And it's that together with flex work, right? Sometimes people confuse remote work for flex work. Remote work does not mean flex work. Remote work means you're working remotely in your zone, but probably the company's starting time is 6 a.m. your time or 5 a.m. your time. You have to wake up and work 5 a.m. But flex work incorporates the asynchronous bit as well. So then it's more like you only need to meet for meetings, but then figure out how you'd get to achieve whatever you need to achieve within 24 hours. And I think when you join a company and you exhibit a lot of the trust, the personal excellence, that is something that you can negotiate for. So about the
Definitely
compensation and
impact
all of that.
in the tech economy.
Yeah, you need to get in and lock in. It takes a lot of effort, right? And when you get there, you realize that this is why it takes a lot of effort. Yeah, because it's not on a silver platter, and you have to do the extraordinary to get in there.
I do have a question, but then I'll ask.
You ask when.
I'll ask this one first. What are some of the misconceptions you think that Ghanaian talent do have about global roles? Like,
Ghanaian talent
yes.
or Ghanaian parents?
oh no, kidding. Or Ghanaians in general.
What are you doing on the computer the whole day?
Oh, that one, yeah, that conversation. But the misconception they have that, should be cleared when it comes to.
I've spoken a lot.
global roles.
Derrick will talk.
But
I
the
mean,
talent in the parents,
yeah.
Ghanaians.
One of the misconceptions is you can do whatever you want because it's remote.
Yeah.
So if you're not able to build the discipline of in-house, you struggle with the remote.
True.
Because nobody is going to check you
Watching
in.
you and-
Nobody's going to be watching to see whether you are concentrating on the call, on the meeting, or whether the work that you said you do, you are doing it. Nobody's just waiting for the outcome. Right, so you told us you would design this flow. Nobody's going to be watching to see. Nobody's checking your Figma to see whether you're working. But then after when the timeline is out, you're like, okay, what's the outcome? Have you finished? Right, so one of the misconceptions is it's easy and it's a pass to do anything you want. That's not it. Right, that's not it. And there's a lot of leniency, especially in some of the teams that are quite liberal. There's a lot of leniency in not talking, not showing up, not because they're like, okay, we want, you are adults. A lot of them give freedom to work. As Joel is saying, unlimited pay time off. Some people abuse it. Some people abuse it, and it all boils down to the trust bit. Some people abuse it. Somebody will take the whole week. The next week he comes, oh,
Another one.
my dog has malaria, so so that's the first one. That it's easy. Second misconception is it's impossible to get into. Right.
Yeah.
People have gotten into
give
it
up.
with straight applications. People have gotten it with 9 months gestation period.
Following and chasing.
People have gotten into it with referrals, with poach. People have been poached. Right. So it's not impossible. Right. It's just tactical. Because you speak to somebody and you're like, oh, why don't you apply to this role? So me, I don't reach all. But what you are doing right now, somebody is doing
the same thing.
And
yes,
it's
and the person is there.
Exactly.
Yes.
The person is
Exactly.
there.
Right. One of the examples I like to give might be controversial, but I go through some of the work of some designers in some of the big tech companies. Right. And
It's not out of the world.
No?
yeah, it's not supernatural. There are some like special ones. If you go to Vercel, if you go to Airbnb, you go to Apple.
That's wild.
Those people have very solid design portals. So
Their taste.
yes.
The taste
But
is
then-
solid.
You go to Google, you go to I'm not that one. Yeah.
It's not out of the world.
And you realize that talent gap is not that wide,
Yeah.
right? It's just exposure.
Yeah.
The talent, you see some people were doing a lot of product stuff in Ghana, in Nigeria, in some of the African countries. Yeah, these people are just in the wrong market.
True.
These people are just in the wrong market. And once they get to a much more global, then you see that these people are really shining.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible. It's just tactical. Some of it too, it's time. You need to wait.
When it's here.
Some of them you need to wait. That's one thing I've also found. You need to wait. You need for especially the global opportunities. You need to make sure the timing is right. Make sure your skills are also up to where you are selling yourself to be.
Yeah.
Because you can have because you can do a portfolio which is very solid, but then when you are, can I speak to you?
Oh,
Yeah, so one interview. Yeah, so one interview one-on-one.
Can you deliver?
Can you deliver?
Can you deliver?
Right, so it's also a time game. It's also a time game. People start desiring remote role. I'm not saying this to try to make it look like something.
Gatekeeping.
Yes,
Derrick
yes.
the gatekeeper.
That's
waiting for it.
That's not what I'm trying to do. All I'm trying to say is that it takes a bit of time and preparation because you are going to a market that already has somewhat of a negative perception.
Yeah.
Right, you're good because some people who have gone before us have gone to probably spoil there.
Worried things.
Right, so you are going to a
Bad
market
spell
like
there,
that.
or not good spell there.
So you need to know that it takes a bit of time, a bit preparation, like going through a lot of hoops, trying to build a connection. Like Joe mentioned, the negotiation starts from the first day. And you're not only negotiating for the salary, you're negotiating for the respect, the consideration, the what benefit of doubt. You are negotiating for even benefit of doubt because at the end of the day, if you tell them I need this amount because of this, and this, they need to trust that what you are saying is true. So you are negotiating for all of that, right? And you are not only negotiating for yourself. Whatever you do in the interview, anybody who wants a remote role later is going to benefit.
Yes.
Yes, you are representing because if let's say you are the first designer to join Apple, first Ghanaian designer to join Apple, and you go there, and then your first 1 month, you make an impact that they even
Solid.
add you to WWDC.
No, come searching for us.
I'm searching for.
Resounding one.
But imagine you go there and you are there
You
for
close
slacking.
the doors.
yes,
for
you are there
people.
for 6 months, and then in the 6 months you've not done anything substantial. Next person, the recruiter, the one who brought you, next person says that
Yeah, that's
That's
so true. That's so true.
they will filter Ghana from the list. Right, but at the end of the day, it's just once you look at it, like they are also working product, just that they have a more, I don't say advanced. It makes our context look small, but they have a more global view, so that you know that okay, it's the same product work, but just exposure. So now, how you prepare yourself is expose yourself to foreign content, foreign content, foreign work. With the recruiters and all that, build the international. Yeah, those are some of the ones that I've seen. Yeah.
Nice. I love this. Love this misconceptions you've cleared, and they're really insightful.
One other thing about
okay.
the misconception, not every remote person is rich, please.
Yes.
Don't be thinking that
Yes.
everybody say remote.
Hey,
Remote,
This is
no.
actually a misconception.
Hey, remote.
This
See,
is
I was remote to put any
I sure it's a
$20,000,
misconception.
$10,000, $5,000.
My first
Not everything.
remote role was $250 a month.
You see, like,
$50. That's like
That was
right.
how long ago?
Oh, that was in
5 years
2019, 2020.
5 years ago.
$250. So if I tell you, oh, I'm a remote this and this,
is
It's
it
always
chilling on
$50.
somebody?
It's not, that is not messed up.
It's not a misconception.
They think
cancel
the
now.
remote workers are rich. Please, I'm advocating for them.
Okay, thank you so much for this insightful conversation. I've learned, and I believe all our viewers and the audience, listeners have learned too. This is a must-watch episode.
I have one
must-watch
appeal.
episode.
I have one
Yes,
appeal.
yes.
If you are a remote worker and you are the only Ghanaian in your company, strive that by the next year you should have 5 other Ghanaians in your company. And I'm not saying empty referrals.
Solid.
When I joined my company, I told myself that I'm going to bring like the touch on Ghanaian talent. And so far, we have one when it comes to permanent team members. We have one. There's another one on the way joining at the end of the month.
Nice.
Ghanaian. And there are 3 other temporary folks too from Ghana. So please put Ghana on the map.
Ghana tech to the world.
Yeah,
Ghana
to
Tech.
the
We
world.
have incredible talent, right? And the moment you've been able to experience someone, whether you work with them on a project in the community and all of that, I'm begging you, please try and get those people in. And it's those kind of referrals that opens doors and then creates the kind of the kind of light that we need on Ghana. These are some of the actions that will get us there. So that's my humble appeal.
Well noted. Thank you very much. So just some quick questions on your thoughts about these when it comes to the work you're doing currently. What's one tool or app you can't live without in your remote work?
Oh, one app.
Or two, yes.
Oh, Slack, you can't.
You can't do without it.
Yeah, also like as a product manager, I use Jira at work. So it's like Jira and Slack. But quite recently, I do prototyping with bolts.new. So it helps me present ideas better, makes it interactive, helps me even spot flaws in, some user experience and all of that. And yeah, I've not had a designer for quite some time now.
Oh.
Yeah, we are hiring. Not now. Let me just put it on record. The person has been hired, so I'm really excited about it. I'll still be prototyping and all of that, but I'll be doing this together with the person, so really looking forward to it.
Higher levels. Yeah, so you want to app?
So he uses Jira. Mine is ClickUp. It's also a task management tool. And then Figma, obviously. Right.
Yeah, tools you can do.
Designer.
So what's the biggest culture shock moment working with a global team? Just one.
Culture shock. I think
you've not
I've
had
had
any?
enough culture shocks. When I studied in the UK, see, I saw that they were rinsing rice after cooking. Like, yes. So I've had enough culture shocks, and I think basically I've been managing my expectations the most. But one thing I would say is sometimes some team members might come off as direct.
Yeah.
You need to have the multicultural intelligence to know that it's a cultural thing. They're not being rude. And when you work with them, you realize that, this is actually how it is. So the first things that you need to do is when you join the team, try understanding the countries they are in, where they grew up.
There are no levels of please,
Exactly.
and please, and yes, please.
So that you can engage people, you can understand everyone's tone and engage them in their language. It's one of the key things. So I don't think I've had a culture shock, to be honest, because I've been very, very expectations managed from day one.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've lived through other people's experiences,
Yeah.
so it's kind of fair. Being a coach, I've lived through other people's experience. I don't know about Derrick.
So take Derrick and then we'll wrap
Me,
it
the
up.
biggest difference I saw was there was a lot less micromanagement.
There are a lot of micromanagement
There's a
in
lot.
Ghana.
Yes, there's a lot,
Oh.
and I think it stems from mistrust.
Trust. Yeah,
So
mistrust.
the leaders hire people and they don't trust them to leave them alone to do the work. So it's more of, okay, I've hired you.
Is it from experience too?
Yes. Well, yes. You can't also blame them from experience.
It's a shared thing.
Yeah, so I've hired you to be a product manager, but I'll tell you how to.
What to
build
do
it,
and
yeah,
how
what
to
do.
Right. And then also, the biggest thing I've learned was not everything is an emergency. So I remember in my first yellow card onboarding was about 2 weeks. So I think my 3rd week or my 4th week, I got my very first ticket, and then I was asked to scope. So I was asked for how many days I think this could be done. I was like, this can be done tomorrow. And my manager was like, no, take your time. And she put 2 weeks there. I was like, hey. Right, so because I came from a culture where
You have to
everything has to be done today.
You see, there's positive in everything.
So now that 2 weeks ticket, I was able to finish, and then I used some more time to refine and then get it better. And that was something I realized was lacking, because a lot of the time in the Ghanaian context, you need to go with your first iteration. And usually the first iteration is not the best.
Yes.
Right. So that was one of the different things. And last one was the openness, the open floor culture. Right now, I could put a calendar invite on my CEO or CEO's Google Calendar, and there's a 95% chance they will join if they are not busy or no. Right, I could put you mentioned Jason. I could either put a calendar invite on Jason's calendar or just send him a Slack or a WhatsApp message, and he's going to respond. You can't they can say anything, but a large majority of Ghanaian CEOs won't get that.
No.
For the
Am I
ones,
your mate? What are you
Me,
saying?
that's
for the ones I know, I mean, you're most likely going to. This is not me
defend-
defending our
I feel
No,
like we are
This is not
trying.
me defending our quarter.
Yeah.
I know.
Am I your
But I
mate?
feel like you are trying
I
to
can-
get
I can-
better in
Yeah.
the Ghanaian.
I can say
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 of them that if I text them right now, they will give me
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
it comes down to the relationship and the
Yeah.
trust
Yes,
as well.
yes,
right?
that's true.
I think I kind of see them forming shields a lot, but then they soften up when they see that, okay, you know your game.
Yes, and you can be
Aha,
trusted.
you can be trusted. So, yeah, there's that possibility. I'm not defending anyone. I'm just saying my thoughts.
Nice. Thank you so much, Derrick and Joel. Yeah, do you have anything to add before we?
I'm waiting to watch the video.
So as I said, this is a must-watch episode. I've learned, and I believe that you've learned too as well. Thank you for sticking
Yep,
with us
yep,
to the
yep.
end. I believe we've given you a peek to the future of work from Ghana to the world.
Ghana
We'll
to the
catch
world.
you in our next episode. Bye.